Hello everybody, welcome back to BTD6. Today we're going to be doing Elite Phase. And oh boy, isn't this Elite Phase fun? Look at this totally fun, totally fair, totally my favorite map of all time here. So before we actually get into the real meat and potatoes, before we get into how difficult this Elite really is, I do want to mention here real quick that over on the community tab I post random stuff, really. It's sort of my vessel. It's just like, I want to do something. Okay, well, let's post something random. But as of recent, because of the secretive project that I will not reveal much of, if at all anything, but what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be posting small stuff over there if you want to maybe check it out. So right now, what I'm doing is I'm farming as hard as I can, because this week is even the normal phase was a bit of a issue this week because of the map length. The map length isn't very long. Now, that's not usually a problem, but when you consider the fact that phase moves the portal, moves the balloon spawn point to where he warped, then it becomes an issue, which we'll see on phase on tier 1 even. So we have to farm as hard as physically possible here. So lives won't really matter all that much. I'm not going to be stressing until I get down to like 30-ish, maybe. So I'm down to 37 lives here, and I'm actually a little bit nervous. So I'm going to upgrade the Dart Monkey. Hopefully the Dart Monkey will keep me in the game. This is very stressful because we're working with not very many lives here, and we have to farm absolutely as hard as we can. So I'm going to try and get this as good as possible here. The lives are not looking good, but we're doing all right. We've got our farms going. I'm gonna see if I can't get a crossbow. The crossbow will just cement the early game here, at least until I can get more defenses. But until then, money! All right, so here we go. We're on to the tier 1 of the boss here. We're gonna actually see how much of a problem phase is this week. So I went really greedy. I have 8 marketplaces. And what I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to be just getting an elite defender, because I want you just to see how difficult this week really is. It's one of those weeks that you can't mess around with it. It is one of those. It's one of those rare times where you're actually going to see me get a favorite trades to get more money back from this guy. All right, so here we go with tier 1 phase here. The elite defender should take care of him relatively easily. But that's not what I'm worried about. What I'm worried about is actually just the balloons. This is one of those maps that oh buddy, it's a doozy. So tier 1's down. It shouldn't be too bad. I did get this. However, it's gonna be one of the very few times where we actually get something known as an engineer and farm as hard as we can with said engineer, because you'll see why. Let's just say that. Alright, so here we go with phase tier 2 here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a mad. As you can see, I farmed my little heart out here. So I'm going to get the mad going. However, that's not what I'm going to also get. What I'm also going to get here is something that's going to seem a little silly. I'm going to get a boomerang. Right there. Now, you may be wondering, well, what is this boomerang going to be? Well, if you know the strats for Elite Bloonarius here, you'll know what I'm gonna go for here, because, well, honestly, this week, I'm pretty sure it's needed this week to make sure that the balloons don't get through. And that is quite possibly the biggest lose condition on this entire week, is making sure those balloons do not get through, because oh, buddy, those balloons go wild. So we need a little bit more money. As long as we can get the Glaive Lord here before the last skull, we should be okay. Because the Mad will deal with all of the more class balloons. And there we go, Glaive Lord. So we have the Glaive Lord up now. Glaive Lord should carry through the rest of this, at least until this phase is done, until this tier is done. I did not mean to siphon funding, oh well. So tier 2's been defeated. What we're going to do is, I'm going to sell this guy, and I'm also going to sell the Glaive Lord. I'm going to get Attack Zone. Attack Zone should carry me to, through these rounds. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to farm as hard as I can You're definitely gonna see possibly some of the hardest farming I've done in BTD6, but we're gonna farm as hard as we can possibly go. I completely forgot I was recording for a second. This is tier 3. Tier 3 shouldn't go down without a problem. We farmed really hard. We got the Dark Paragon. So, obviously, you know, a lot of the farms got sold for said Dark Paragon. But, here we are. Now, I want to get to a bit of a tangent here. Is Elite PHAYZE, right? Not Elite PHAYZE, just PHAYZE in general. Is PHAYZE a little bit too complicated for a boss? Now, obviously, the strats don't change for PHAYZE. You know, it's just the same old thing. But let's go over his abilities. So he has the Reality Shield, right? That speeds him up. Whenever the Reality Shield has been killed, he slows down. Seems fair enough. However, upon each go, he warps the balloon spawn point, which again is fine. But he also has a cold aura, which does affect paragons, as you can see. And not only that, every like 20-ish seconds, he warps all balloons to his point in the track, gives them camo, regains his camo because he is a camo balloon, regains his camo if it was stripped, and it jams all camo seeing things. Now that's a mouthful, but I just want to bring up the question here: is Elite PHAYZE, right? Not Elite PHAYZE. Is PHAYZE maybe a little too complicated for a BTD6 boss? Now, the reason why I say that is because take a look at all of the other bosses. All of the other bosses are actually fairly straightforward. They're very simple. Now, I do applaud Ninja Kiwi for making a banger of a track, and I do applaud Ninja Kiwi for making a boss that actually is... Well, wow, why did I put a druid down? That actually is challenging, depending on the map, obviously. But I just want to ask them here, is Elite PHAYZE maybe a little too complicated? Maybe should he be toned down a little bit? Now, I'm not saying nerf him, obviously. You know, if you want to tone him down a little bit, like remove one of his abilities but enhance another, that's fine. But I just wanted to ask if what y'all think. Is Elite PHAYZE maybe a little too complicated for a BTD6 boss? Let me know in the comments down below. So here we go, tier 4. We got the Ninja Paragon up to degree 31. We just got ourselves some damage amplification. I have this guy over here to sort of make everything in this radius cheaper. This is possibly the hardest I've ever gone for a boss event in a really long time. Simply because this map and boss events just do not mix, man. But tier 4 should go down fairly easily with the Ninja Paragon on our side. I do want to add a little bit more to this setup, though. We're getting some pretty decent damage. Tier 5 is going to be a nightmare, though. Alright, so here we go. Tier 5 is about to come out. What I'm going to do is, once again, as per the usual with the boss videos, I'm just going to pause the recording and then just cut right to when the defense is all done. So, alright, so I set up this defense. I don't know how well this is going to go, but I'm hoping that everything goes well. I have a degree 43 Ace Paragon, where he's right there. I have Boomerang Paragon. I have all the Paragons I need. Let's see how this goes. I'm also using a bit of a, some would call it odd strategy here. I'm actually overclocking this guy. Now that may be weird to some people, not some people, but most people. But I'm actually increasing this guy's attacks because he's constantly down strong. So he should be applying a debuff more often than not. Oh my god, that was perfect timing on that ace ability. Jesus. Alright, so let's see how this goes. One final ace ability. And down goes Elite PHAYZE. Down he goes. All in all, I don't think PHAYZE is too complicated of a BTD boss, but I think he's pushing it a little bit. So maybe use PHAYZE. So Ninja Kiwi, maybe try to use PHAYZE as the sort of groundwork for complicated bosses. But anyway, that is all for today's video. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTuber stuff. Look, man, I'll see you later. How do monkeys get overclocked? how do they keep that constant attack speed? Is it through training? Are they all metal maybe?